Let's briefly introduce this topic and then we'll see what rabbit holes we go down. Money. In our first segment here of hashtag dad life, I think it's definitely an important concept as a parent, right? To talk about the concept of money. It's, I guess the bigger question is how. When do you introduce it? How do you introduce it? Knowing that it is such an important topic. So Jay, let me throw that one your way. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the big thing whenever talking about money and keeping that work-life balance in check is I think money can be a great incentivizer for everyone in the family to understand why you need to go work or why you need to be out working, maybe working on a weekend every once in a while, if that's something that is okay with you and the family, to explain to your kids that your work is what allows for you all to have the life that you enjoy instead of just something where you're gone all day. And really explaining that to your kids. My 4-year-old understands that to a lesser degree. He understands when I go to work, I make money. And he understands that in order for him to get the things that he wants, like a new game or Robux or whatever it is that they want, that he has to now do some sort of work to get that, even at 4 years old. And for him, that means like one chore and one page in his learning book in order for him to earn 1 point. And after so many points, he earns $5 or he earns one game. That's the way that we've used money as a way to explain to our son who's 4 how that functions and how is the only reason that you're able to actually earn money. Nick, how's that discussion for you and Bree? I know Diego is a little too young to understand money, but what does that look like in your household?
She and I have talked about it a bit in terms of, do we give him an allowance? Do we not give him an allowance? I think we both agreed that we want him in some capacity to work for something similar to what you've already set up with Emerson. And I think that, there is a lot of value in that. What's the other side of the spectrum is just giving it to them, right? They ask, I give, because I want to help them. I don't want them to maybe go through the struggles I went through. So as understandable as that might be, I strongly disagree with that of give. And a couple of reasons. You hold no value to it, right? There's no concept of having to make decisions. I think a really good thing, give you an example for me growing up, my parents gave me $20 for lunch. However far that $20 went, it went. If I wanted to have a great lunch and have a sit down somewhere, and me and my friends drove to wherever, again, a sit down restaurant versus a fast food, it lasts you once, maybe twice. And if you want to eat slimmer pickings for the week and make it stretch, again, you make the decision. And that has always stuck with me, to say I like to give something similar to that for Diego, to say, look, we're going to help you. And now I'm jumping, right? I'm not starting off in those young years. My head's already going into those high school years, probably realistically, on this example. Nonetheless, to say, here's a budget. And now you need to make choices within your budget based on your preferences. And once it goes, that's on you.
Yeah. And to your point, I think it's really important to set those boundaries. Say you haven't had kids yet, or you're wondering, hey, right now I'm building my career, so I don't want kids or I don't want family. It's still important to run through these things and just understand what you would do in that situation to be prepared for when that ultimately does become a reality for you, if that's going to be something that you're going to be planning on, just so that you know how you're going to approach it and maybe make some corrections along the way. If you see someone doing something that's better or more in line with what you think a child should be talked to or interacting with money on, and you see someone doing something, you're able to say, oh, actually, I think that's a better route, and I'm going to go down that road instead. I think and we've talked about this before, but you were talking, you're going down the direction of, we're setting our kids up with these discussions so that when they are older, they're not having these expectations of life that money is effectively worthless to them, because they don't understand that money is what gets you things that you want, not mom and dad.
And then you have to sacrifice for it.
So yes, there's always a sacrifice, whether that's reading a book in your learning thing or whether that's going to a 9-to-5 job. Both of those are going to be a sacrifice of some sort that allows you to earn what you're wanting versus just it being given to you. We do that, like I was saying, with Emerson and chores. On that note, Nick, what do you think is a fair amount of chores for a kid from they're able to walk and understand the concept of chores? So you're like that 3-4 range all the way to a high schooler. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know that a certain number is necessarily comes to mind as compared to what they're doing. right? Because when you're 3, 4, 5 years old, what you're capable of doing versus high school is much different. With that being said, I actually came across something recently talking about how some parents don't want to get their kids help because they want it done right when it comes to chores. I thought that
Mhm.
was an interesting idea because I'm thinking, and here's what's the give and take of it is if you tell your kid, don't help me because you're not going to do it right, then they lose that willingness to help, which I think is a brilliant reality that I think most kids are born with. They want to help, they want to be friendly. And I think it's interesting how sometimes us saying, no, just let me do it as a parent who says, I know how to do it, so just get out of the way, unfortunately starts planting
Yeah.
seeds for them to want to be less helpful because they're just like, well, they didn't want my help. And now I thought that was
Yep.
interesting. But that's my rant to answer your question. What should they be doing? You think of monotonous things, right? If you have pets, can you help with the pet stuff? Whether it's feeding the dog or cat, cleaning up after them,
Yeah.
going outside. Those are things that obviously aren't desirable. It creates responsibility,
Yeah.
right? There again,
Yeah.
when your kids say, I want a dog, I want a dog, where does it become mom and dad's dog? So when they dig a hole, who's covering the hole, right? If they're
Yep.
needing fed in the morning, who's doing the feeding? I think those things are, in my opinion, I think they're 100% doable for really five and up, to be honest. And I think you as a parent are doing it with them, right? The first few times, but it's just like anything. It's not hard. It's just a matter of taking that responsibility and not bailing your kids out and saying, ah, just get out of the way and I'll do it. Because then they lose that sense of responsibility for as they get older. What are your thoughts with in terms of
Yeah.
what they should be doing?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is showing them that there's going to be some sort of sacrifice. No matter ultimately, no matter what they're doing, there's going to be some sort of sacrifice in order for them to get what they want, whether that's and also live by the rules that you present in your house. So whether that's going to be living in your house, you say you have to have a clean room, you have to have a clean bathroom. I don't use your bathroom. Giving them those types of responsibilities as they are able to understand what it's like and building up to that quote unquote perfection that you expect as a parent. You're not going to your point, you're not going to expect a 18-year-old to, you're not going to expect them to be perfect, but they should be better than a 5-year-old. So
Yeah.
a 5-year-old, you telling them to clean up your room is going to be a different experience than an 18-year-old. And you're saying you have to have a clean room or else I'm going to start throwing stuff away, which was a nice tactic by my mom. And I do mean that as nice. I'm like finding myself constantly just looking at all the crap that our kids have. And I'm like, I'm going to throw some of this away if no one cleans this up because I am sick of cleaning it up every single day.
Yeah.
The 1-year-old, he has little stack of cups that fit inside of each other. And we're always missing at least one of the middle ones. And what he'll do after he sees that we've put it away is he'll grab it and he'll just fling it across the room. And you're like, well, as a 1-year-old, there's not much you can do to punish that. You can be like,
Sure.
okay, pick those up, pick those up. I'm going to go and pick up most of them, but you go pick up one. But at the end of the day, it's just, I'm just going to throw it away. What's
Yeah.
the point?
Yeah.
It can even be used though, in that instance, as they get older and they do have those things they're more attached to, like clothes, if they don't put them in the hamper or bring it down to the laundry, for you to be like, your lack of sacrifice and keeping a tidy environment for yourself is now going to be me donating this stuff because I don't want to deal with it. And you're trying to put it on me. So it's slowly pushing the burden of what it takes to have the environment that you desire onto your kids in
Yeah.
meaningful and beneficial
Right.
steps for them. So only given as much as they can hold.
Yeah, a couple of other things that come to mind as we've been chatting in terms of when we should be introducing. So we talked about the win for the chores, maybe for a monetary value, but in terms of money in general and understanding it, I think once your kids start counting, start showing a nickel, right? If they can count to 5, boom, a nickel is worth 5 cents. If they can count to 10, show them a dime.
Yeah.
They can count to 25, show them quarters. If they can add and subtract, use money. I want 2 dimes
Yep.
and a nickel is the same value as a quarter. I think those are ways you can introduce the concept of money. So they're feeling it, right? They're seeing it and they're trading for it. And now you make it an interactive thing versus just talking about it. I think an interesting activity Bree's godmother did when she would have Bree on the weekends from time to time when they would go shopping. And Bree, I think, was 11, 12. So now you're talking about multiplication and division, etc. But Bree wanted something from the store. Her godmother would say, okay, what's the tax going to be on it? And if she couldn't figure out what the tax is going to be on that item of clothing, it's like, nope, going to put it back. So forced her from a mathematical standpoint, from a money standpoint, to have to understand, how do you calculate that? I thought that was an interesting
Yeah.
tweak, because again, you're bringing in the money piece, and versus just saying, okay, what else? On that note, for shopping for clothes, I can remember my mom, shoot, all through growing up. It wasn't just a high school thing or a middle school thing. Like, it was, okay, we're going school shopping, but here's the budget. And again, once you set a budget, you set a limit. And again, now you have to make decisions. You're just like, God, do I want that nice shirt for X dollars, or do I want to get 3 shirts that aren't as much? But now you have to make decisions.
Yeah.
And that's real life. And I think, again, on the flip side of it, you're just like, hey, put in the cart, put in the cart, put in the cart, put in the cart. And there's nothing to think through, because if you're always told yes, what's next? Like, you never have to make those decisions.
There's a detachment between objects and the monetary value, and also the amount of work that has to then go into to earn that amount of money.
And you look at the total bill and you're just like, oh my God, I just spent $400 or $600, and it's, wow, that was so much, but we got it all. And you're just like,
we're at Build-A-Bear. What did we spend $400 on? Oh my God.
Yeah. So it's interesting to me. Here's the last thing for money and kids that I can think of right now, and that's volunteer. Now you're doing something and giving your time and sacrificing maybe a little bit to give back. And I think that's an interesting and important aspect to help kids as they're growing up, is get them involved with a program. Maybe it's around Christmas time. I think that's the easiest one, to get them partnered up again with another kid that's less fortunate. And now they're giving and volunteering a little bit to help someone. I don't know, just an idea when we're talking about how do you value money.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's doing something for nothing, and recognizing that you don't and shouldn't always expect to get money for doing something.
Yeah. Yeah. That sometimes, and when you do value your time and you decide to donate it to someone, that being your time, then it makes those events more meaningful as well, versus just, I'm just giving them charity with my time. It's like, oh, you're giving them an actual commodity. So respect that and understand what you're doing for them. And anyone that receives it should also understand what people are doing for you. Great discussion. I think we touched on a few things. What do you think is a good time to start talking with kids, and how are you going to approach that conversation? Are you going to take some of the things that Nick and I discussed? Definitely let us know in the comments below. If you think that we're just completely off base, let us know. That's all that we have for this week in #DadLife. We're going to be taking a short break, and then we'll be right back with Real Estate Roundup. So we'll see you in just a moment.